Okay. The next one, these two are a most important concept: subprocess and link process. So subprocess, uh, when we use this subprocess and link process, so whenever you select a subprocess, right, inside this one more flow will be triggered. So one more here you have to give a one more flow. So example, you have like you have an activity. So inside the activity, so we have some series of steps need to be executed. In that case, we can choose either of one. So sub process or link process. So example, I'll tell you. So I say example in the uh, credit card application only, process only. So I have some example. I'll define something like I have a customer task. Under the customer task, so what I need to do in the customer only, I have customer will fill the screen, fill the UI screen. Then again, I need one more task to be generated to the customer. That's where he will upload the document. So customer doc, docs. Okay. Again, after that, again, I need one more screen or task where customer will complete the KYC himself. Okay, KYC detail, KYC. So now I have a three tasks here. So one is customer will fill the detail. Again, I have one more screen to upload a document. Again, I have one more screen or task to complete the KYC. So now the customer task is divided into three tasks, right? Three tasks. So now what happens if I select this customer task? I example if I want to design this flow, right? That time what happens? Again, I need to create three tasks here. So I need to create three tasks. So one is for customer filling, one more is for uploading the document, and one more for KYC, right? So like there are three tasks will comes here, but actually these three tasks will be executed by the customers, right? So instead of doing it the main process, what I will do, I can use a sub process. So sub process means, so in the parent level, in the main process, there will be one task which will be performed by a customer. But internally, what I will do, so I will divide this customer task. Um, I'll select this as a sub process task. Inside this, there will be a child process will be get created. So here I will create three tasks, which will be executed by customer. So one is for customer form filling, and one more for uploading a document, and one more for KYC completion, and one more, this is for end. You are clear, right? It's becomes very simple, right? So in the parent level process, there will be only one task will be there, but internally, so there will be three tasks will be like the for this customer there will be child process is created. So inside this, there will be three tasks will be created for customers. So it's just a one symbol example I'm telling you. So I'll give you more examples. Is it understandable or it's not
Yes, yes,
confused?
it's absolutely clear, sir. It is absolutely clear. And this is where I think that answers my question at the beginning. If within one task we can, one process or one block, we can have multiple tasks or not. So just to reiterate that in order to, not to complicate the main process flow, we need to show the main process flow as simple as it is by using the sub process flows, sub processes, and then within sub processes we can synthesis as many process we want, so that
Yes,
whenever somebody comes and sees the credit card main process flow, he will understand, okay, these are the steps in simple. Then he can deep dive into each swim lane of each block, what exactly underneath, how complicated things are there, right? Rather than
right.
colluding or complicating the main flow, design
Yes,
it a simple way. Then within that, whoever wants to dig in and find it out, they can see, means we can actually do as more complication required within that.
yes, right.
Got it,
Correct.
sir. Thank
So
you.
we have to keep main process as simple as possible. So if customer executing multiple tasks, right? So for that, we can use either subprocess and link process, and inside that, we can create all those activities. Okay. So, but the main things will come like when you need to select subprocess and when you need to select the link process, right? So that is what you need to understand. So both are nothing but both are used for child process purpose only. But when you need to use a subprocess, when you need to use a link process, that is the main concept you need to understand. So if you see here, uh, so like when you see this process, right? The customer, how many times he will fill the process, fill the form, how many times he will upload the document, how many times he will complete the KYC. So if you understand in general, so it will be normally one time he will be filling the form, one time he will be uploading the document. Uploading the document might be multiple times, but as of now, I'll consider like he will be upload the document as one time. And KYC, how many times he will complete? Only one time, right? So in that case, so you can use that such process as sub process. You're understanding?
Suppose there is one-time execution of the process is happening, and a particular process flow in a task. If there is only single time the execution of that particular process is happening, then we should be using the sub process, right? When single
Yes.
or less number of time, I can say, right? Less number of iterations, something like that, sir. Or
Only one
only it
time.
has to only
Only
one
one
time.
time.
Okay,
One time. Yes. So
okay,
example, I'm telling you. So uh, if you take like invoice processing, right? Under the invoice processing, so we'll be submitting the bills, right? So when you're submitting the bill, example, if you say leave request, so you will be filling, employee will be filling the data and he will be submitting it. How many times he will be filling the data? Only one time. So one time he's requesting, right? So that might be a sub process, right? But when you go for approval, right, at that time, so approval might be multiple times, right? So example, manager might be approved, then HR might approve. There might be another L1 manager need to approve. So there are three approval is happening. In that case, the same process can be used in three places. The reusable component will comes into picture. So approval screen will be same. So example, if I submit a leave request, for manager, whoever like my manager, this is approval. There will be only two button, approve or reject. And when it go to HR screen, the same screen will be there. Again, they will be having approve or reject button. And again, if it go to L1 manager, then there also it will be same screen. So employee detail will be same. When the request when he is going on leave, that detail will be same. Only approve and reject button will be there. For these three steps, the users are different here. The users are different, but the screen is same. So in that case, so we can create one process and we can use at the three place. So that is nothing but the process we are creating at one time, we are reusing at three place. So in that scenario, we have to use a linked process. You're understanding, right? So same
okay.
process we are using at three place. So that is called, that will be used for in that scenario, we will be using a link process. If the process cannot be reused, the process will be used only one time. In that case, we will be using a sub process. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. It is clear. Just okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So example, if you see here, right, as whatever I explained you, I'm noting here. So here,
Uh-huh.
when you are submitting a request, so it's a sub process. One time you are using it, so that's where employee will use the sub process. Employee will use this sub process. to complete the submit the request. Okay. So now when it comes approval, right? Approval time. So in the approval, it will be same, right? So these three
Oh,
approval screens will be same, but here if you see users are different. So supervisor, some users are different, and HR will be users will be different. But we need to create three tasks for them. But internally, if you see the screen, everything is same. So that's where we'll create sub process or link process. We'll create it's here link process with approval. We say like leave approval process. Okay, which is a link process. So this link process I will use. I'll attach to all the tasks. I'll attach to supervisor task. I'll attach to HR approval task, and I'll attach to L1 manager approval task. But only thing is in the assignment, the user will become different. So the same process which is used in three places. So that's where link process will comes into picture. So this is mainly like it will help us duplicating the code, right? So instead of creating a separate process for supervisor, HR approval, L1 manager, like we have to create a three process, right? So instead of that, if you use a link process, one process can be used in three places. Only the user assignment we can handle at the dynamic time or data. Whatever input data and output data we are taking, that can be handled at the dynamic time. So understand?
yes, sir.
Okay. So now, so if I come back to the sub process, so for sub process, it's a one-time execution, right? So for this, no data mapping is required. So no data mapping is required is nothing but it will take a data from the parent process. So which is a parent process here? Credit card main process is a parent process, and inside this one, so if you see the customer is a child process. So now for this one, so there won't be need of like input and output parameter, right? So it will always take the data from parent process. So example, I have variable input one, so which is created. So immediately when you have this input one at the parent process, same data is available at the process. Input one is here also it's available. You are understanding? Whatever the data which is available in the parent process will be available at the child process. So
Yes,
that is
yes.
nothing but no need of input parameters. Input and output parameters not required. Okay,
Yeah,
but
because it's
if you
just a piece in between that process, so it has to consume what is already coming from the main flow and then execute and deliver it to next phase, right?
yes, yes, right. But when you take to the link process, right? When I take a link process, at that time data mapping is enabled here. So we have to say that what input parameter we need to pass and what output parameter we need to get, right? So example, if you say I have a flow, so once the supervisor approves, then only HR approval will be done. So in that case, what happens first the leave approval process will be used. So initially the supervisor will task will receive. Then once he approves, right, we will be updating a data like oh supervisor has been approved. Then same data we need to pass to HR approval. In the HR approval, of HR will check whether supervisor approved or not. So once the supervisor is approved, then only he will approve the request, right? So that is nothing but from this task, we are passing a data to HR approval. So there is a data we are passing is nothing but there is an input and output parameter is required. So that
Mm,
is where process can be reusable, but what is important here is data mapping is required, right? So from the previous task, we are passing the data to the next task. So that's where the input and output parameter is required. Okay. So
mm.
that you're understanding?
Yeah, because here that back and forth decisioning is involved in case of that linked process. So we have to ensure that if this decision is at this level is rejected, what mapping should be done? If it is approved, what mapping should be done? So all those things are required. So that's why they are enabled this input and output data mapping at linked process level, right, sir?
Yes, right,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pretty much clear.
So, okay, I'll come back here. So I think the last one is the link process, right? Only these things are there. Okay.